Okay, so I did several different things over the course of this CAS project of mine. The first one I'm going to be talking about is my volunteer trombone teaching at Hazelwood Middle School. So I started this about a semester through junior year, and what I did was I met with Mr. Jones, and I started keeping a journal of my thoughts about about every 2 weeks I kind of journaled my thoughts about how it was going. It was less about how the teaching was going and more my thoughts on teaching, which was definitely a new experience for me. And the teaching itself was difficult, and I'm, by the way, continuing to do that. I'll be doing it tomorrow. It's definitely a new and different challenge for me teaching middle schoolers. So what I would do is I would come in every Tuesday and I would meet with these low brass players, which is my instrument. I play trombone, and it started as just trombone. I was playing with 2 trombonists, and sort of expanded from there, which is probably a challenge all teachers face. But so I was doing something. My role kind of expanded to something I wasn't familiar with. I was asked to teach baritone, which is a low brass instrument, but not mine, obviously. It's similar to trombone, but the technique is different. So I had to kind of learn and adapt, and as part of that, I learned to play baritone. Definitely not as well as I can play trombone, but I learned to play it well enough to demonstrate notes, tone quality, articulation, that kind of thing for my student. I encountered a couple challenges. I think most importantly was when someone doesn't necessarily or isn't necessarily interested in what you have to teach, and that's tough. It's middle schoolers, but it was fun. Towards the end of my journaling, I started talking about how since I was a junior when I started, 2 out of the 3 students I taught are now in the band with me at New Albany, and that's really interesting. And the 2 that are in the band are both doing very well, so that's a lot of fun. I think the reason I did that is because music is something I'm really passionate about, and I just wanted to be able to teach and give the opportunity to have a teacher to students that I don't think otherwise would have that opportunity. I spent about 20 hours last year and 35 this year. Part of the way through last year, I was approached by by Mr. Essery, who had been contacted by a mother of a student at Highland Hills Middle School, who had heard about, I guess, or had wanted lessons for her son, and so he forwarded her to me. And so it was kind of like word spread, and so I got another student that way that I started teaching after school on a volunteer basis as well. And so that was fun. Just kind of a growing base of students that I could teach what I had been taught by my teacher. So that was pretty fun. That's creativity and service, because we're playing a musical instrument and because I'm teaching on a volunteer basis. So so next I'm going to talk about marching band. Marching band will be the majority of the action component for me. Marching band is a passion of mine, and it's a very physical activity. If you like to see that, there's a picture of me in uniform. So I set a goal for myself. That was to be the drum major of the New Albany High School marching band this year, and I was able to be. It was a lot of fun. Leadership is new. The band program was new. All of it was new, and it was definitely an interesting challenge to undertake. There were a lot of things I didn't expect. I've got right here my whistle to issue commands on the field, and I've got my gloves from the podium. They were, I wish I had a picture of them originally. They were completely white. They probably smell pretty bad. They're sweaty. So marching band, a lot of movement, a lot of work on the field, moving equipment. a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. We did several competitions and 2 4-hour practices a week, and that took up about 80 hours, and I think that's creativity and action because of all the music as well as physical exertion involved on the football field. So next, you've got a letter in front of you from Mr. Essery showing that I was the drum major in the marching band. So next, I'll talk about Modeling United Nations, which took about 25 hours. I counted that as creativity as well. That was something that was very fun for me, exploring and learning about a different culture and debating and talking about current events. It encapsulates a lot of different things from a global perspective, like how does a different government see this, a different culture. So I've got here, it's my binder that I made for my representation of the Russian Federation. I've got my placard representing the Russian Federation. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in the Modeling United Nations. Some of the things we talked about were current events. Like I said, we talked about the Crimean crisis. I won Best Delegate. Here's my plaque for Best Delegate. And we also won Best Delegation, or Second Best Delegation. So here's my ribbon from that. I probably spent a total of 25 hours from both preparation, research, and participation in the events over the course of Modeling United Nations. It was a really positive experience, I think, especially learning how a different culture thinks. That was very interesting to me. And finally, one of the last thing I'll be talking about is also creativity. Was my trombone soloing. As I stated earlier, trombone is my instrument. So I played at ISMA competition this year, Sonata No. 1, Galliard for trombone. It's a fairly difficult piece. I spent probably 35 hours in preparation and performance of this piece. I got a silver medal, and I'll show this to you. So I got a silver medal at ISMA regional competition in Group 1 for this piece. I was hoping to get gold. I didn't make that gold because it is a very difficult piece. Difficult to play, and it's very different stylistically from pieces I was used to. So, yeah. Any questions?
What was the service activity you were talking about? Was that the teaching?
Yeah, the teaching at Hazelwood Middle School.
Okay. That combines all three, really.
Yeah.
That was your big project?
Yeah.
You spent the most time on?
It took about 55 hours, I would say.
So do you think you're going to go into teaching now that you've had this experience?
It was definitely different for me. If you reflect on it, I don't think teaching comes naturally to me like it does to some people. I don't think so, but it was definitely, I value the experience because I think you could, if you teach, you really know something. And it was, I don't know, I got it to see kind of from my teacher's perspective, and I value that because, you know, it wasn't easy. Definitely.
Trent, you do some really great self-reflection. What would you tell those coming up? What kind of advice would you give them as far as completing this component of the IB diploma?
As far as this portion of the IB diploma goes, keep your stuff, I think. I think that's valuable.
Absolutely.
organization. Record your thoughts. And just know what you're passionate about and find a way to expand on it and do something different.
All right. What do you think you did differently that kind of challenged yourself? You mentioned it.
Teaching, for
Yeah.
sure, is something different, and marching band, the leadership component is not something I was not used to before. I had never really been directly, like my title is the leader of an organization. And so that was different, and it was challenging and all sorts of new to me,
Yeah.
but it was well worth it.
And you did it. You survived.
Yeah, I did.
All right.
Survived.
Well done. Well done. All right, Miss Biggs.